think we're in. Okay. We sent it to the lenders, but they may or may not.
Oh, it's okay. You're not on.
Yeah. Is anybody on? Okay, no.
So, Ken, we were looking at our agenda and sort of given some of the things that we've already gone over and some of the things that we really want to concentrate on, and also sort of given time that we thought we would push Section 1 now to the back.
Okay.
Maybe sort of at the end we can get to certainly some of the kind of questions on environmental and things like that we'd like to ask a little bit about. But I think it would be more productive if we could start on Section 2.
Yeah.
The commercial.
So, can you tell us how you want to...
Well, I think we have a few things we want to prepare.
We don't have to go line for line. We're just sort of giving the guidance of what we're trying to get at. If you have some materials to start with, that's...
Yeah, let's just do, it can go through quickly. We really, I mean, the way we look at it is by product groups. And obviously, you know, the different components of what drives margin, volume, price, and the trends. And yes, we have that. Some comparatives. So we can run through quickly. You guys are fast. You up them quickly. So. And if that answers some of your questions, great. Then we'll circle back to one we didn't answer.
Yeah, and it could be a segue to expand the your areas, I guess, when we talk about, you know, when we get into hydroxide, maybe we try that. And,
sure.
Right, so Simon's, you know, got all the sales knowledge, and so you can handle all that. Steve's got the PAGs.
Yeah.
We got raw material buy, and Mark, you know, got the silicon business. So.
Perfect.
You want to go through the P&L, or do you want to
Sure.
go straight to the product groups? Okay, so this presentation is essentially the P&L, and then we're going into the margin and a bit more detail with the product groups. So just to give you a flavour, so this is Q1 and a Q2 review, and we've got Hythe, which is the site here, and Allentown, which is our US site. The Hythe numbers are in euro millions. So for the first quarter, EBITDA, at the very bottom line, we've done 3 million against a budget of 2.7 million. So we're currently running above target. But that essentially has been pushed slightly because we had a little bit of forward phasing of April results into Q1 because of Brexit. We've had some pre-shipments going forward, and Simon will touch on that when we get to the HM. Q2, just another flavour. So you got Q1 at 3 million. And we had a budget of 2.8 bottom line and forecasting 2.6. So that's the difference now. That forward phasing, 2.2 million going to Q1. Now Q2 kind of dropping off a little bit. But the last two columns for the first half year, we're on track with being on budget, which is the 5.6 million EBITDA. And we're going to the detail. Allentown is running pretty much, you know, on plan. We've had a bit of better phasing of costs. So margin is on track, but we've had there's a recapitalization.
Recatalysis.
Yeah, which is about 100,000 has moved from Q1 into Q2. So there's some upside in costs.
So we rephased that for the couple of. One of the reasons is that the customer, it's formaldehyde recat, and the customer is having a shutdown, so we've attempted to link it to the shutdown and moved it and delayed it.
And we'll go into the margins in a bit more detail, but just to touch on fixed cost energy. Our energy costs and fixed costs were pretty fixed, so with especially in Allentown, we're able to forecast those pretty strongly. But over the year, there tends to be some phasing, but really in reality, the fixed costs were pretty tight on where we end up being, and we're able to forecast it. And we've got the main drivers, and there's a few slides at the end.
So maybe if we maybe start on the product groups, maybe we can skip these and get into the detail of it. Yeah. And so, you know, it gets a flavour of how we're looking at each of the individual business units. Simon, do you want to just, you know, talk about this and...
Yeah, so I'll try and
pull in some of the questions that you asked. So just to introduce the hydroxy monomers, this is the most cyclical of the product groups that we have. A large proportion of the output ends up in automotive coating, both OEM and refinish. And it's quite a competitive sector, so there are 2 producers in Europe, 1 in the US, and several in Asia Pacific. Just to go back to the cycles, most of our competitors are back integrated into the key raw material, which is methacrylic acid. And the methacrylic acid or homofactolate market is quite cyclical in terms of pricing. And on paper at least, there's quite a lot of capacity for hydroxy monomers. So what you get is that the supply-demand balance, or at least the supply side, is heavily linked to availability of raw materials. And this is why when raw materials go tight and prices start to rise, it normally makes the hydroxy monomers market go tight as well. And that's why we've been able to generally increase prices by more than the raw materials going up. Of course, the opposite happens on the downside. That's why you get this sort of counterintuitive margin trend. So we had a tight raw material market in 2010, 2011, and we've had a very tight raw material market in 17, 18. And there was another tight period, which was actually 12, 13, which wasn't related to raw materials, but one of our major competitors had an explosion in Japan and were out of the market for 12 months. So where are we now? So I mentioned that it's been quite a tight market for 17 and most of 18, but we started to see a pretty sharp slowdown in quarter 4 last year.
So back to that question. You had the data we have, right, shows higher margins in the 2011 to 2013 time frame, and then an erosion since then, right, and then a little bit of a recovery in 2018, right? So could you take us through that?
So
yep.
I'll just go back to the figures that you had. So when Geo acquired the business in 2011, actually the market was very tight with shortages of methacrylic acid.
Mm-hmm.
And then during 2012, it started to ease a little bit, and prices started to come down. And then in September 2012, Nippon Shokubai had an explosion at one of their facilities in Japan, and was effectively closed down for 11 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started to see prices rising quite significantly during the end of 2012, 2013. Then when they got back online, the market became longer again and prices started to fall. And continued to fall through to 2017 when we've seen a raw material shortage, and then prices have started to come back up again. And they increased pretty substantially through 2017, stayed fairly high for most of 2018, and now started to fall again.
Right. So would you say kind of has it historically gone in those kinds of cycles, or is it's linked to events like an like a manufacturing incident, someone exiting the market, or?
I would say events.
Mm-hmm. So where you're at now, actually, you think is a little bit high, right? For the last 12 months, a little bit high, and
the last 12 months is a little bit high.
Mm-hmm.
So I forget what we averaged last year, but we
750.
750. The budget for this year we put at 630. Quarter 1 was slightly ahead of that. I think will be that sort of area in quarter 2. And I think the forecast going forward, we pitched it at the 6.
So basically what you're saying is that as raw material costs go up, you're able to get out in front of it a little bit and a little more.
Normally, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the exact same thing happens on the way down.
Tightness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Raw materials pricing or whatever reflects tightness in the market, and we ride that unless we have a fixed price contract, which I don't have much of. We're able to pass on, and then some when it comes to seller's market. And when your raw materials drop, things are long, and so there's a greater availability.
So if we've seen that, so what we then do is we